Hi, I'm Dr. Kate Barry, and this week we're talking about chronic fatigue as a symptom and making diet and lifestyle changes while particularly unwell. So, you're chronically ill, you're feeling fatigued and unwell most days, and you've either read or been told by a practitioner that you need to make significant diet and lifestyle changes in order to minimize symptoms and potentially recover. But, how are you supposed to do this when you're feeling so unwell and you can really hardly get out of bed? It's a bit of a catch-22, right? So, this conundrum is actually one of the biggest, most common that I see in my practice, that my clients are constantly complaining about with good reason. So, as a practitioner, I'm always looking for ways in which I can help out and I can provide guidance around these kind of day-to-day tasks that really suck energy and, prevent clients from sticking to the holistic healthcare plan that we come up with together. So today in the vlog, I'm just going to mention the top 3 tips that I have for my clients to really get around this conundrum and implement these diet and lifestyle changes. So the first one is to prioritise. So my suggestion is to really kind of sit down and think about what you need to do every day, or what you think needs to be done every day, and rank those tasks in order of importance. So you really need to think about what is necessary and what can be left for another day or even another person in your household to complete. So in particular, I like clients to look at the bottom 5, so the least important on that list, because they can often just be completely discarded, okay? And then you really need to start rethinking what needs to be done versus what you want to be done, okay? So, I see lots of examples in my practice of what I would consider unnecessary tasks. So some examples are daily housework. You really don't need to do housework daily. Ironing clothes that really don't need to be ironed, like underwear, sheets, things like that you can really just disregard. Other things like, particularly mums, I see doing lots of housework for other adults in the house, and also cooking kind of more elaborate style meals, and particularly if they're only one serving. And I'll come back to that in the 3rd tip about servings and things. But all of those are really good examples of things that you might be able to change or, even completely disregard. And then hopefully the idea is that after a few days or a few weeks of doing this exercise, that you really start to see, what tasks are actually important versus the ones that you just kind of thought were important in a perfect world when you were well, okay? And so, it's actually quite a pivotal thing. It's a bit of a mind shift, but I think it's a very important one in the recovery process. So the second tip is to delegate and outsource. So I'll talk about delegating first. So once you've removed anything that you can in step 1, whether it's actually completely removing or, thinking about doing it another day or giving it to another person, then you can start thinking about those delegations and where you might be able to offload some tasks to other family members or even close friends. And so, adult children and partners can definitely be doing their own cooking and housework. But in addition to that, it's really not unreasonable to suggest that they chip in and do extra housework and take some of your load. This is assuming that they are well, but if they are well and you are ill, then that is not unreasonable. And I find that this kind of step is particularly relevant and often difficult for women, particularly mums, but women in general that kind of gain a lot of self-worth from helping others and particularly helping their family and their kids. But you have to think about the long game here. You know, the absolute best thing you can do for your family is to get well. Okay, so, you know, please take that into consideration. Also, please utilize your close friends. So we often underutilize close friends and really rely heavily on family. But you know, you can ask your close friends, particularly those that are asking you how they can help. You can ask them for help. So, you know, particularly if they live close by to you, then you can ask them to do lots of little tasks here and there. They could bring you some grocery items. They could borrow a library book for you from the library. They could bring in your mail or bring in your garbage bins. You know, there's so many things they could do. They could cook you a meal and bring it over so that you didn't have to cook for a few days. But, you know, we often don't want to be a burden or a bother. But friends, especially close friends, they generally feel kind of left out of the recovery process. Maybe you were once very close and you saw each other often, and now because you're unwell, you don't see them that much, and they often do feel left out, and they just want to know how they can help. So tell them. The second part of this is outsourcing. So when I say outsourcing, I mean outsourcing to a professional. So, you know, outsourcing tasks that take up a lot of energy can actually be quite a game changer. It definitely was for me personally in my chronic illness journey. But of course, this step requires that you have the extra cash to pay those professionals. So that's kind of a prerequisite for this particular step. So the easiest and I guess cheapest option in this point is grocery shopping. So it costs very little extra for delivery for the big companies that do grocery home delivery. And you can obviously do this from the comfort of your lounge or your own home, which takes a lot of the energy requirement away. Now, personally, I would suggest that you don't buy your fresh fruit and veg from these big grocery stores. I would suggest finding a smaller online organic grocer that home delivers. And then, you know, in addition to getting the benefit of the non-toxic produce, you're also getting very high quality, that aesthetically pleasing, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Items or produce. You know, you don't have to be concerned that you don't get to personally choose the items because they are all amazing. I use Ubi in Sydney and they are fantastic. I was concerned about that myself and, you know, getting items that weren't ones that I would choose if I were in the shop, but it's not a concern. It's really top quality produce. So find an organic grocer in your area. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's not a huge amount more expensive, I've found. So hopefully the cost is okay for you too. The other thing, I guess, in a similar vein is to do as much of your shopping, not just grocery shopping, but all shopping online. So this is going to give you, you know, a lot more cardboard to have to recycle. It's a common problem in my household. But, you know, it's really worth it for the time and energy that you save. And finally, if you can afford it, and that's obviously a big one, but if you can afford it, I would suggest getting a house cleaner, or a gardener, depending on the size of your garden and, you know, whether you have a lot of plants to tend to. You know, even if you can only afford to get them once a month, that's still, you know, you can give them the big jobs like cleaning the bathroom and the kitchen and mopping the floors. And that can be a huge energy saver, even just that once a month. And, you know, actually I was surprised at the low cost I thought it would be more expensive. I have a fortnightly cleaner. And I found if you look for local tradespeople, the cost can actually be surprisingly low. Okay, so moving on to the third step, which is simplify. So this is the big one. This is, you're down to your final few tasks on the list of things to do. And for me, at least, and I try and tell my clients this too, that good nutrition really should be kind of top of the pops, top of that list in order of importance. So, while it is super important, it's also, if you're unwell and particularly if you're fatigued, it's quite energy expensive to have to stand and chop lots of veggies, peel if you need to, chop, throw things into the pan, stand up and stir every 5 minutes. It can actually be quite taxing. And so, just remember that you're not trying to be the perfect human here. Okay, so, your job is to get well and recover, and that's what you need to focus on. So buying pre-chopped food is okay in this situation. Buying frozen veggies is okay. Even buying healthy, pre-packaged food, that you can just grab from the fridge or the cupboard on the days that you're feeling particularly unwell. It's all okay when you're trying to recover. Whatever you need to do. I was initially, mortified by buying pre-packaged or pre-chopped food because of the plastic and the expense. But it actually saves so much time and energy, and it's not going to be forever. So just think about the long game. Do what you need to do in the short term, and then you can change things as you get better. So the other suggestion I like to make to clients is to add in some, easy to make meals. So the easiest one, or the easiest one to visualize is a smoothie. So, smoothies for brekkie are a great idea. For lunch, I would think maybe some pre-chopped salad items with a tin of wild-caught salmon sprinkled around on top. And then for dinner, something like a soup or a casserole, a curry, something like that you can just throw lots of pre-chopped ingredients, including maybe stir-fry pre-chopped meat. And you can throw all of that into like a slow cooker or a pressure cooker. And that takes a lot of the effort out, and a lot of the energy expenditure out of the process. And always, always, always batch cook your food. I can't stress that enough. If you're fatigued and you're going to the effort of prepping and cooking food from scratch, then you always have to try and get the most bang for your buck, minimum 2 serves I'm talking. So you should always at least have one leftover meal from the cook. But start thinking bigger and start thinking minimum 4 serves and up to 6 or even 8 serves per cook, okay? And then you can freeze a couple of those servings so that you can use those on days that you're feeling particularly tired. And then on days when you're feeling particularly energized or, relatively energized, then you can do a few bulk cooks and save a few of those meals and then have a few days off. So they're my 3 top tips. If any of that resonates with you, I'd love to chat some more. Please leave me a comment or even shoot me an email or contact me on the website. But lovely to chat to you. Bye.